जय गोपीजनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपीजनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन। यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन। यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजक आचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद शिवाइन ग्रेस ऐसे भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णवृंद की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So we are continuing our discussion on the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, text number 21. यद्यदाचरति श्रेष्ठस्तत्तदेवेतरो जनः स यत्प्रमाणं कुरुते लोकस्तदनुवर्तते। Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. People in general always require a leader who can teach the public by practical behavior. A leader cannot teach the public to stop smoking if he himself smokes. Lord Chaitanya said that a leader should behave properly before he begins teaching. One who teaches in this way is called Acharya, or the ideal teacher. Therefore, a teacher must follow the principles of Shastra, scripture, to teach the common man. The teacher cannot manufacture rules against the principles of revealed scriptures. The revealed scriptures, like Manu Samhita and similar others, are considered the standard books to be followed by human society. Thus, the leader's teaching should be based on the principles of such standard Shastras. One who desires to improve himself must follow the standard rules as they are practiced by the great teachers. The Srimad Bhagavatam also affirms that one should follow in the footsteps of great devotees, and that is the way of progress on the path of spiritual realization. The king or the executive head of a state, the father and the school teacher are all considered to be natural leaders of the innocent people in general. All such natural leaders have great responsibility to their dependents. Therefore, they must be conversant with standard books of moral and spiritual codes. So Krishna is talking about telling Arjun to set a good example. Yadyad acharati shreshthas tattadeve taro janaha. Sayat pramanam kurute lokas tadanuvartate. Shrestha means a leader. A leader, a role model, an influencer in today's language. Yadyad acharati. In whatever way a leader behaves, tatta deve taro jana. The jana or general people follow that. Jai Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan ki. People in general naturally follow, whether willingly or unwillingly. People tend to follow, imitate the behavior and actions of a leader. Sayat pramanam kurute lokas tadanu vartate. Whatever example such a person sets in the world, then lokas tadanu vartate. People in general consider that to be the standard. So if a leader, the leader can be in a small family, the mother or father can be the leader. In a classroom, the school teacher is the leader. Or in an organization, the employer is the leader. Or in a big state, in a country, the political leader. Sports stars are considered leaders. Film stars are considered leaders. No one goes and checks whether such people have good character, good habits. We don't go and check, right? Suppose there is a Bollywood star and their movie is a big hit, or a cricket star who is very popular, winning matches for India. We don't go and check what is their personal life. Just because they are performing nicely on the screen, we naturally tend to think they are good examples. And whatever they do becomes a standard. So if they come in an advertisement promoting Alcohol. An alcohol ad, Kingfisher. पता नहीं अभी भी है क्या Kingfisher? Whatever. Some alcohol brand का ad या smoking cigarette का ad. They are promoting it. Then we feel this person is promoting this. Naturally, I want to follow. That person became a great person by smoking the cigarette. If I smoke that brand of cigarette or I drink that brand of liquor, I can become great like that person. That's the psychology. We may not exactly think like that, but that's the psychology. Or if that person is promoting a particular brand of shoes or phone or dress, clothes, watch, then we feel if I wear that brand, then I will be seen in that manner. That's why we have all these big companies promoting their products by all these celebrities. So we don't find any normal person promoting an ad, right? A car, for example. You don't find ordinary person driving and promoting the car because who cares about that? So these people have big influence over the general mass. So therefore, whatever example they set, that becomes the norm in society. So in Arjun's case, Arjun is a leader. Arjun and the Pandavas are well known everywhere. So if Arjun is going to say that I am not going to fight the war because fighting means killing so many people and destroying so much property, it's a loss in every manner. And it will give me sinful reaction. So therefore I don't want to fight, I want to retire and don't want to be the king. No royal luxuries, no facilities, nothing I want. So Krishna says, your thoughts may be noble, but your example is bad. You're setting a bad example. And if you set a bad example, people in general will follow your example. So therefore, you should fight. So by not fighting, what bad example is Arjun going to set? The bad example is you run away from your duty. The example is not that Arjun is thinking, I'll set a good example of non-violence. But Krishna is saying, you are setting a bad example of running away from duty. Your non-violence ka example, no one will care to follow. Your example of running away from the duty, that's what people are going to see. And people will think, out of fear, you ran away. They won't appreciate or respect your mood of non-violence. As a Kshatriya, you're supposed to commit violence for the upkeep of dharma. Just like policemen, if they talk non-violence, is that a good or bad example? It's a bad example. Right? General human beings have to follow non-violence. But if there is someone is attacking, if a terrorist is attacking, and the police say, I also behave non-violent, then that is contributing to greater violence. So police not acting violently against terrorists is a bad example. So Arjun is the king who is supposed to maintain law and order in society. And if Arjun says, I'm not going to fight against these antisocial elements standing in front of me, then I am going to contribute. Arjun is going to contribute to greater future violence. Therefore, Krishna wants Arjun to fight the war because that's his duty. No one else can fight the war. He as a Kshatriya, he has to fight the war. So Krishna tells Arjun, uh, running away from the war is you are trying to say I am following a Jnana Yoga Marg. But for you, better option is the path of Karma Yoga. Jnana Yoga is not meant for you. And even if you think you are qualified for Jnana Yoga, Jnana Yoga means renouncing everything, becoming detached, not attached to any facilities. That's the typical attitude of a Jnana Yogi. Krishna says, even if you think you are qualified for that method, still you should follow the path of karma, because that will set a good example. So everyone is everyone has a role to play. And if we reject our role in society, and if we try to follow someone else's role, then it doesn't work. We all are designed and made to contribute in a certain way. Prabhupada used to give the example of a machine. Machine has so many spare parts, so many parts, and every part has a role to play. Imagine a car. There's a steering wheel, there's a brake, accelerator, clutch, and tires, and axle, and hundreds of parts. And every part, no matter the smallest screw till the biggest body structure, everything has a role to play. And the screw, the screw doesn't function, or a handle doesn't function, then the machine won't function. So you can't say the screw is such an insignificant part, let us throw it away. The screw also has a role to play. Similarly, we may be big influencers or a small, ordinary person. We all have a role to play. The challenge is to identify what that role is. And if we can somehow identify, and if we can contribute in that manner, then we become happy, we remain happy, satisfied, and the world benefits from our contribution. Like in the story of Ramayana, we hear how during the bridge building, Lanka crossing, all these Vanar Sena were bringing big rocks and trees and boulders and mountain tops and throwing it into the sea to build the bridge. So Hanuman and all of those big Vanaras. So Hanumanji saw one small spider somewhere in the corner trying to contribute to building the bridge. So what can spider do? Few grains of sand, few grains of mud. And here these people are bringing big rocks. So Hanumanji said to the spider, come on, side ho jao. You will be crushed by this boulder. You get a side. Your contribution anyway insignificant. Even if you don't do, it's not going to make a big difference. If you do also, it's going to make a big difference. So please get aside. Save your life. So in this way, the conversation was happening between the spider and Hanuman. So Lord Ram happens to see that conversation. And Ramji told Hanumanji, look, you are doing your best according to your capacity. The spider is doing his best according to his capacity. So you don't have to compare each other. Both contributions are valid, and I appreciate both contributions. So let the spider do whatever it can, you do whatever you can. Respect each other's contribution. So in this way, everyone has a role to play. Sometimes we tend to think, oh, those people are doing so much. What can I do? I am nothing. So everyone has a role. So, but the challenge is to identify which capacity, in what manner I can contribute in which field, so that it can add value to the whole system. So in this way, Krishna tells Arjun, Don't try to imitate someone else by practicing the path of Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga means renouncing everything. Because ultimately everything is useless in the ultimate equation. That's what Jnana Yogis think. Kuch bhi karo, the world is not going to improve. Right? There's birth, old age, disease, death. Everyone is going to die anyway. Everyone is going to suffer anyway. So even if you do many things, overall you are not going to change the equation. This is the thought process of Jnana Yogis. But Arjuna is told by Krishna to practice Karma Yoga. You do whatever you can and help people in whatever way you can. Maintain law and order in society in whatever you can. And in this way, contribute to peace in society. So in our scriptures, we find so many examples of how this principle is followed and not followed also. A bad example of a leader can spoil everyone's life. And a good example can contribute to the benefit of so many people's life. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we find the story of Sanatan Goswami, who was a saint. This is 15th, 16th century, medieval India, Bengal. So he has a conversation with Haridas Thakur, who also happens to be another saint. Both are close associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Haridas Thakur, although born in a non-Hindu family, but he was a very strict follower of the teachings of Sanatana Dharma, Lord Chaitanya's teachings. And he would constantly worship Krishna, especially by chanting the names, holy names. Almost practically throughout the day he was chanting. He was addicted to chanting. At the same time, he would set a very good example and inspire many others to take to serious spiritual life. So sitting in one place, but setting a very good example and inspiring many people. So Sanatan Goswami saw this and he appreciated Haridas Thakur's example. And he said, there are some people who behave nicely, but don't preach, don't inspire. Behave very well, but they don't go out and do outreach and inspire people to take up spiritual life. And there are others who go out and talk a lot, preach a lot, but they don't set a good example themselves. आपनी आचरी केह ना करे प्रचार, प्रचार करे न केह ना करे आचार. Achar and prachar. Some do achar nicely but don't do prachar. Whereas some do prachar nicely but very, very bad achar. You, Haridas Thakur, on the other hand, you do both. Achar, prachar, namera karah dui karya. Therefore, tumi sarva guru, tumi jagatera arya. You do both achar and prachar nicely. Therefore, you are the ideal leader for the whole world. Tumi sarva guru, tumi jagatera arya. So this combination is deadly. Having a good achar and doing prachar. Rarely we find both these qualities in one person. And if we can find such person, that person will contribute for the upliftment of the whole world. So preaching is easy. All you have to do is speak. Speak lofty philosophy, quote here, quote that, quote that. But when it comes to individual practice, very difficult. Prabhupada gives the example of here. A person who tells others not to smoke, but he himself smokes. That's a very bad example, right? Or you talk about drinking and health benefit. The doctor, imagine a doctor advising everyone, never drink and it destroys your liver and destroys your lungs, but then privately he will smoke. Or anything. You talk about meat eating or diabetics, sugar nahi bilkul nahi khana chahiye, and then he will eat a lot of sweets. So all these examples you have, prachar but no achar. And there are others who will follow a very good lifestyle. But then when it comes to inspiring others, they feel, ये मेरा काम थोड़ी है. I will do my thing. Whether others follow or not, that's not my lookout. So both are needed. If I am convinced about a certain right lifestyle, and if others are not following it, I need to inspire them. Tell them the advantages of leading a proper lifestyle, the disadvantages of not leading that lifestyle, certain principles and values, not just lifestyle, even values, certain principles, the principles of the Gita. Like Prabhupada used to say, why India was lagging behind the world. India is still considered underdeveloped country sometimes, or developing country. At one point of time, before British people came, Mughals came and looted India, India was the richest country. And these people came, invaders came and tried to loot many things. But that is all external reason, Prabhupada used to say. The main reason why India went behind is because Indians didn't share the rich spiritual culture and heritage and knowledge with others. We kept it up to ourselves. India's elite class, they practiced to some extent, but they didn't feel the need to share it with others and inspire others and uplift others. So when you don't share knowledge, what happens? It rots. It rots the person who is keeping it, and it doesn't benefit people who don't get it. Just like fruits. So imagine you have good, nice, tasty mangoes, and you just keep it with you. Don't share it. You don't enjoy, and it gets spoiled. Similarly, knowledge also has to be shared. And Indians have the big fortune of inheriting the best knowledge, spiritual knowledge. The knowledge of the Gita, the knowledge of the Puranas and the Upanishads and the Vedas. Such treasure house of knowledge we have. That knowledge was not shared enough. Initially it was known to many people, and gradually only those who knew Sanskrit, they became the custodians. And those who knew Sanskrit, the number reduced. So that way knowledge also reduced. And it became only handful, selected people who understood actually what this knowledge is. And out of those who understood, few people practiced. So in this way, the value system, the right lifestyle, the right thought process, the right philosophy, all these things were not distributed among people. So people didn't know what is the goal of life, what is the purpose of life, what is the right way to lead a life to attain that goal. Spiritual goals were sidelined, materialistic goals became the focus. Economic development and material development, industrialization, all these things took the position of spiritual development. These things are good, we are not saying these are bad, but they have a place, but not at the cost of spiritual advancement. So then we started imitating the West, because the West is advancing in all these fronts, economic, industrialization, scientific thing. And Indians felt if we simply stick to our religion and spirituality, then we remain backward. Look at the West. They are advancing nicely, and Indians are backward. All because India is too much attached to their religion. This is how Indian leaders, immediately after independence, propagated this thought process. And as a result, spiritual education was compromised, neglected, and emphasis was given to other things. So Prabhupada used to say this is the main reason why India is lacking. India is lagging behind. Now, fortunately, you see again a revival of spiritual culture, spiritual teachings, a pride, a revival of pride in our own roots, our own cultural, spiritual roots. All because some leaders have taken up the task to promote this. And they are actively propagating it. So it all depends on again the leader. Coming back to this verse, Yadyad acharati shreshthas tattadeveta rojana. What if the leader Shrestha takes up something, then common men follow, common people follow. So Sanatan Goswami that appreciating Haridas Thakur by saying, you Haridas Thakur, your Achar and Prachar, both are exemplary. Therefore, you are able to inspire so many people. So Lord Chaitanya also used to regularly say that as practitioners, as devotees of Krishna, we have to set a very good example. If we behave badly, then people will say, these people, Hare Krishna wale, you can't trust them. And if you behave nicely, then good impression is created. He would say, just like Shukla Vastre Masi Bindu, in a white cloth there is a black spot. All cloth is white, and there is one black spot somewhere in the corner. People will not look at the whiteness. What they will see? That black spot. Shukla Vastre Masi Bindu Yaiche Na Luka. You cannot hide that. That is very prominently visible. Similarly, Sanyasira Alpa Chhidra Sarva Loke Gaya. A person in the renounced order or a devotee practicing spiritual life, if he does some misbehavior, Sarva Loke Gaya, the whole world is going to talk about it. So in this way, Krishna is highlighting the importance of setting a good example. So in the whole section, Arjun is told to not run away from the duty. As a Kshatriya who is going to become the emperor of the state, the king, you will have thousands of people under you. And all of them can be inspired by one good example. Millions of people can be inspired by one good example. And similarly, millions of people can be misled by one bad example. So in this way, for Arjun and for people in general, this process of Karma Yoga is the most recommended path. So Karma Yoga essentially means you work and dedicate the fruits of the work, the results of the work, for a divine cause, for a noble cause. Not just noble cause, for a divine cause. And Krishna later says, you have to work and dedicate the fruits for me, to me. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasyadhyatma chetasa. Dedicate the results of your work, mai, unto me. Nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigatachvara. Without any attachment, without any lethargy, fight. So in this way, Karma Yoga is the most easy, practical, beneficial method for most people. All we have to do is, Krishna says later in the Gita, Yat karoshi yadashnasi yad juhoshi dadasiyat yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushvamadarpanam. Yat karoshi. Whatever we do, just like Madhav Prabhu was telling just now, during the kirtan. You may be playing mridanga, very excellent mridanga, but if that one is not there, what is that one? What is that Krishna? Yeah, he said chanting, but or more general term, Krishna. You add the divine factor. You add Krishna to your life, then whatever we do, it has value. Otherwise, Prabhupada used to say, everything that we do is like zeros. Our education can be zero. Our occupation can be zero. Our business, our family, our relationship, our degrees, our social connections, everything are zeros. The zeros, you add them up, they are zero. Hundreds of zeros, you add them up, it remains zero. But the moment we add one to the left, and then you add a zero, then it becomes 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, millions, billion. So that one is important. So modern culture, modern civilization is adding up zeros. In spite of adding all kinds of technological developments, scientific developments, economic progress, people are still unhappy. People are still depressed. People are committing suicides. Teenagers committing suicide. Youngsters committing suicide. Elderly people committing suicide. Only one thing is left. Children committing suicide. Newborn committing suicide. That is yet to happen. You don't know. That will also may happen very soon. As soon as you come out of the womb, depression and then commit suicide. You don't know. Anything can happen in Kali Yuga. So, suicides are increasing. Relationships are breaking up. Families are breaking up. Why? In spite of all the advancement in facilities and technologies and gadgets and best of cars and best of houses, what is missing? When Prabhupada went to the US in 1965, he addressed a group of people called hippies. Hippies were those people who came from very rich background. Parents were very rich. But children rejected. All these children rejected their parents' comfortable houses and money, and they were living on the streets, looking for something spiritual. What exactly is spiritual, they had no idea. But something spiritual. So when Prabhupada went there, he was surprised. Why would these children of rich people, rich parents, give up everything and come to the streets? Living like a beggar. Everything is available to enjoy. Cars are there, roads are there, houses are there, money is there, movies, entertainment, everything is there. Why would they give up everything and come to the streets? That was a very astonishing thing for Prabhupada. India में ठीक है समझ सकते हैं हम लोग. पैसा है नहीं, all are relatively poor background. Then sitting on the street is understandable. So many beggars on the street. But in America, a rich country where people go for fulfilling their dreams, people are sitting on the streets. That is an astonishing thing in those times. So that proved that no amount of material luxuries and comforts can actually satisfy the soul and give happiness and fulfillment. The missing thing is our connection, spiritual connection with God, connection with Krishna. And when that we get, a process to connect ourselves with spiritual principles, with spiritual reality, then everything else starts making sense. Otherwise, it's all big zeros adding up to zero, a bigger zero. So therefore, the moment we add Krishna into our life, especially in the form of chanting of the holy names, then we actually start experiencing fulfillment and happiness. So Arjuna's advice here to do his work, do his duty, ultimately as an offering offering for Krishna's mission, Krishna's pleasure. That will give him satisfaction and happiness. So we'll stop here for today. And the theme continues for the next few verses. We'll continue next Sunday. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada ki.